Good morning, everyone. I want to read, make a little video, and I want to read, I think, two verses or three. It says, I'm going to be in Exodus, the 14th chapter. I'm going to read 12 through 14. And it says, is this, they're at the Red Sea, is the backdrop of this. They've escaped Egypt and they've come up on the Red Sea. And the people say, is this not the word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, let us alone that we may serve the Egyptians? For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness. And Moses said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will shew you this day, you today. For the Egyptians who you have seen today, you shall see them again no more. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. When I think about leadership, I think about Moses. The greatest leader was Jesus, of course, but Moses was pretty powerful, and I've looked at him many a time for examples. But you know, leadership don't start off at the front. It starts off in the pews, just like a person that's it doesn't. The ministry don't start out in the pulpit. Just like nobody starts out as a mayor or a governor or a senator or a president or whatever. They got to come up through the ranks. Life may have handed you leadership, but a lot of times we're not prepared for it. We can't handle it. And I just wanted to say this. I've tried to make these videos to help people. It's not to replace people getting to church, and we're getting to go back to church a little bit. I used to visit all the time, and I'm not getting to visit right now. So this is my way of visiting with you, I guess. But I'm having people contacting me and saying that when the virus is over, don't stop making this. They listen to them going to work or on to work or whatever. But we'll see. We just, you know, you may not be prepared for leadership, or you have a grip emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. I've noticed, and then you can notice that in business, people get paid more money the more things they have to handle, and the more ability they have to handle difficult things. You're able to move up the ladder when you can take on responsibility. It's the same with leadership. They pay you more for conflict, trouble, and pain. That's why the CEO gets more than the janitor. He has more problems. And after all, the Bible said, to whom much is given, much is required. At our church, I went out and stood in front of the people and told them one time that I had noticed that there's people that's, you know, stronger and people that's weaker, and it kind of balances out. And the stronger people, I ask them to pray for the weaker ones. I call it sponsoring. I don't know what you call it, but that's what we call it. And somebody was at our church, and I was talking about sponsoring. It was a minister from another church. And so I visited that church a little while after that. And when I went up to shake people's hands, they were saying, we've been having some good meetings, Brother Dale. Oh, we've been having really good meetings. And after one or two or three, I got to wondering what was what got them to tell me that. And I found out that their leader had come back and told them for them to start sponsoring, and they had, and they could see how much better things were. We all are leaders in some capacity, whether it's leading a corporation, a family, a wife, children, or a church. We have different roles. You may be the minister of a church, and when my last job, I was not in leadership. I was in customer service, and it suited me fine. A minister the leader on the job, he may not be the minister, and the minister at the church may not be a leader in business. The owner is not the same person as the minister. If you say, I don't want any more of this, I can't handle it and stand the pressure, what you're really saying is, I don't want to go any higher. People want to go higher, but they don't want any more responsibility. And I'm here to tell you that it goes with it. It's like at our church, once we had a person come through and he said he thought he wanted to be a minister. He was joking. But I said, yeah, what part of it you want? You want the baptizings and the weddings, but you don't want the funerals. You want, when they recognize you and you go visit, then maybe they make up a little money for you. And he was liking that part. I said, well, how you like it whenever they call you and they're about to divorce and all these other things? So you get it all. That's what I told him. Moving forward and moving up means more problems. If you don't let it get to you too much, if you just learn to handle stress at the next level, then doors will open themselves to you if you can do that. I thank God for his training. I thank God for his wisdom, his knowledge. It kind of reminds me of learning how to ride a bike. You know, you wobble and fall down, get up, try again. And I think some people learn with training wheels. You need that in your spiritual life. You know, a child, they start to walk and they fall down. We don't chastise them over that. We just help them back up and they try again. So you have to learn to follow before you try to lead. Good followers make better leaders than people that's not good followers at all. You know, the people you're trying to lead, sometimes that's where you get the grief from. As the Bible says, not my enemy that reproached me, then I could have borne it. It was mine acquaintance, mine equal, or however it says. But you get grief from your own people sometimes too. So you gotta be, I call it like an M&M. You gotta be tough on the outside and soft on the inside. If you don't believe me about that, ask old Moses or Nehemiah, who was trying to rebuild the wall. You know, a drowning person will fight the rescuer. They don't on purpose, but it's the same with people. Sometimes they don't mean to fight you, but they're pulling a different direction. You don't mean you brought us out here to die in the wilderness. Nehemiah built and fought, and you can't just build and not fight, and you can't just fight and not build. You have to do them both. That's why God gave you two hands, is to build and to fight. But you know, take courage, because the wicked shall cease their troubling, and the weary shall be at rest. If people's fighting you, that's a good sign, because people don't fight people that's not doing anything. Jesus asked, who do men say I am? Sometimes in leadership, people don't even know who you are, or and what you're trying to do, that you're trying to help them. They'll have a tendency to fight you a little bit. And people, if you ask different people who their minister, who he was as a person, they'd have different opinions. But you know, Jesus said, who do men say that I am? And Peter said that you're the Christ. But it didn't seem like the other 11 were speaking up too fast. But if you can get 1 out of 12, I guess you're not doing too bad. For the church to be effective like it needs to be, the followers have to know who they have and appreciate his presence and get behind him if they're going to accomplish all that they need to accomplish. If they don't, then whatever he writes on the board, they'd come behind it and erase it right away. You got to be close to the man of God like Elijah was Elijah to get his mantle. You can't stand off from afar and criticize the man of God, and the mantle falls, and you're on the sideline criticizing it, won't land on you. And you can't inspire people to follow your lack of commitment. You have to be committed. If a leader tells somebody to come to church, they have to come to church. If the minister says hold your head up, he needs to be holding his head up. It's easier to get competent people, but it's hard to get competent people, but it's harder even to get committed people. If you want to know somebody's true color, just watch how they treat people that they think that they don't need. And you need people that you can confide in. Lay it all out there. Know that it's going to stay right there. I've had people call me and come see me, and all ministers have. And I tell you what, children of God, I really, really try to keep it in confidence. It's hurt a lot of people when they told somebody something in confidence and they let it be strode all over the country. You need somebody as a minister that you can tell your heart to and get close to. You know, you need somebody that's with you. I heard something like this, if I can get it right. 25% of the people don't like you, and they're not going to like you no matter what. 25% of the people like you, and they're going to like you no matter what. 25% like you, but they can be persuaded not to like you. And 25% don't like you, but they could be persuaded to like you. So there's only just that small amount that like you and going to be behind you no matter what. And I heard a story about three sisters. This brother said, "What would y'all think if you heard that I had drunk a Royal Crown?" One of them said, "I wouldn't have a bit of confidence in you." The second one said, "Oh yeah, I would." And the third one said, "Well, I guess I'd have to know what a Royal Crown is." In the South, a Royal Crown is an RC. Cola is a Royal Crown. So he was talking about drinking a cola. And leaders need to be extraordinary. That's what people's looking for, is somebody extraordinary. And it's hard to fit that bill. I try, and I'm striving. Nobody's interested in following ordinary. They want extraordinary. And like I said, if the man that's over you tells you to go to church, then they need to be doing that. If holding your head up or whatever the thing is, getting along with people or whatever. The worst thing about dying and staring death in the face is to think to yourself, I have made no difference. That's been my goal. I want to make a difference. Ordinary is our enemy. Well, Brother Dale, I just want to be an humble child of God. Yeah, that's great, but what about the one talent man? You need to add to that humble child of God. You don't just need to die with just that. Heard a story about a little boy who's following his daddy, and they're going through a muddy place. And the daddy said, "Son, don't you get those shoes muddy. Your mother won't like that." And he said, "Okay, Dad, I just put my feet where you put yours. How would that be? What if somebody puts their steps right where you went?" Some people have the attitude, if I can't be the lead dog, I just don't want to be in the race at all. You know, and a man that thinks he leads, but he has no followers, he's just out taking a walk, is what that is. And being put in charge is not the same as being a leader. Leaders, communicators, to me, they take something complicated and make it simple. They break it down. I used to like to watch baseball, and Willie Mays, he would catch that basket catch. He made it look so easy, it really was difficult. So that's what you have to do. Enlarging others makes you larger. If you believe in people, they will believe in themselves, and they make them believe in you more. So believe in your people. The greatest gift of leadership is a leader who wants you to be successful. I want our people to be successful, every one of them. A leader is not only someone that knows the way, but goes the way. And not only goes the way, but shows the way. And I want to help our people break the cycle of repetitious living. And, you know, a dead battery can't jump off a dead battery. You have to have a little, a brother at our church, he called it Zim. I guess that's a cross between Vim and Zeal. The greatest leader is not necessarily the one that does the greatest things. He's the one that tries to get people to do the greatest things. Leadership is not a position, not a title. It is action and example. If serving is beneath you or below you, leadership is beyond you. And I thought about the word synergy, and it means this: interaction of elements, when combined, produce a total effect that is greater than the sum of the individual parts contribution. Do more as a team. And team doesn't have an I in it, they tell me. What God is too big for me and me alone. I need others. You need a team that you don't have to argue with or prove anything to or try to impress. They're with you. A house divided against itself cannot stand. And you know, we come along, the members need to understand downtime. Every service is not a pick you up kind of meeting. You need, sometimes you have to mend your nets. You know, that's the disciples, they caught 153 great fish and it broke the nets, and they had to call their partners. You need partners. And they had to mend the net. You can't learn to walk without falling. Yeah, that's just prep time. And nobody chastises a child for falling down. Like a net, you have to have a group of people who are tied so tight and tied so right that they can stand up under the pressure of the load. So every now and then we have to mend our nets. We have to have the Word of God. You have to prep before you can throw your net. You can't stitch while you throw. You got to do that before time. That's your prep time. If the Word of God chastises you and you huff up about it, that you're in trouble. Prep time, like David with the bear and the lion before the giant. God's prepping you so that when you stand before kings, you won't be nervous, intimidated, or confused. You have to leverage what you got. Like the prophet that the axe head went in the water, and the axe. And so he used a stick to get that out. You got to take something small and do great things with it. Like the jawbone of an ass for Samson, or whatever it is. Piano's got 88 keys. They tell me if you can master 8, you can just about master it. You got to prove your faith with the minimum before God before He will release the maximum. This went a little long today. I've enjoyed trying to get it to you. Hope you're doing well. I'm praying for you daily. If you need me, if there's something I can do, I would love to help you in any way. I'd like to make a difference for you. And as I said earlier, this is not to replace your minister or you getting to church. If you can do that, do that. I know that even before the coronas and after the coronas, there's people in nursing homes, in rehab centers, and things where they can't get to church. I've spent 2.5 months in Knoxville getting treatments. I couldn't get to church. I got to church 3 times during all that time, three weekends. And so there's people that can't get to church. And there's like when I had radiation burns for those 7 months, it's very difficult for me to get to church. So for people like you, I'm here working, and if you need me, just let me know. I'm praying for you.